We are back in the garage and I've got the M3 in here. It's all clean and ready to go, so I don't get too dirty working on it, and I won't leave any very obvious handprints when I've been leaning on the car. I've got to service it, so spark plugs, oil filter, air filter, cabin filter, gearbox oil, diff oil and engine coolant. That is what's on the agenda for this one. I am going to be doing all of those. It's not going to be a massive video because, well, it doesn't need to be. All you need to see is all the work's been done and carried out. So I'm going to start by getting the quick jacks under the car. Let's have it. Right. Knowing what jobs I've got to do. I'd just like to point out that you've seen it drain from this sump plug here. I'm now doing it from this one here. Just because, well, there's two, so I've got to drain it from both, haven't I? So once that's stopped, I'll put the new washer on, send the sump plug back in, torque them both up, and then I'm done under that bit. Oh, I'm sure I measured that at a 12. That's a 10. I feel like I don't trust that. Look at how much movement's on that. Yeah, that's absolutely not. Right, looks like I need a 14. Luckily, Honda sump plug bolts are 14s. No, it doesn't really fit that well, considering a 12 doesn't. I sort of want to give it a little tap, see if it'll go in. It's very clear that this has not been done in a while. Well, a 14 does fit. Guess who needs a 14mm Allen key bit and doesn't own one? Actually, let me double check I don't own one. The sump plug bolts for the diff are coming out. I've borrowed a 14mm Allen key socket and a copper hammer because Daz will not let me hit it with a normal one, which is fair. And it is his socket, so there's no room to swing. This should be 60 Newton meters tight, which is quite a bit.
Not that tight though. Well, that's good because that's come out. Oh no, I don't like that. I'm gonna tap that in. Oh, I can smell the diff oil already. Uh-oh. Yes! 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 I mean, that socket's staying in there now. I'm going to put the sump plug back in. Right, I've cleaned out the tray for the oil, because obviously I'd like to inspect the oil that comes out of this. He says he can't get the fill plug back out. Here we go, just unnip it, move all of the other tools, because the likelihood of me spilling something is high. Even though I shouldn't have any oil coming out of this. You never know. And ideally I don't want to drop this socket in there. I mean, nothing's come out with that. There's a bit of oil on the plug, so it's been sloshing about in there, so that's good. Oh, and it stinks. That was a big piece of rust. And that. Right. I had 8 litres come out of the engine, and I believe to the full, like absolute maximum, is 8.9 litres, so we're doing pretty good. I'll measure how much comes out of this as well by using an old oil container before I refill it, but I believe it's 1.5 litres that's going back in, along with 2 new plugs, being as though that, in the words of Matt Armstrong, it's perished. I won't need any of them actually. Hopefully none of that's needed to go back together. I was thinking about trying to clean up this mating surface, but where this O-ring and the head of the bolt are sealed before, it looks all right, usable is how I'm going to describe it. The rear diff and the rear subframe and the rear drive shafts definitely require some attention. In fact, I'd probably go as far as to say it needs a new back end, just the full back end, because it's ridiculous. Right, I'm going to put the new sump plug in. This is set at 60 foot-pound. No, 60 Newton meters. Yep, I'm happy with that. Give that a quick wipe. Right, I'll measure the level of fluid, see how much was in there, and then I'll refill it. Right, I've been on the old Google. I'm just struggling to open the new oil, sorry. I've been on Google, and it says 1.25 to 1.6 litres. It's quite a capacity range, that is, to be fair, considering the diff is always the same size. So what I've got is some Redline 7140, and my plan is to to syringe that out and push it into the diff, basically. Now, every time I've ever played with this syringe, it's a nightmare, because pulling out, like syringing it up, is tough. And I was going to try and like block up the hole and pour it in, but my god, it's hard work. Oh, I've not even screwed the back end of this back on after cleaning it. That could be a problem. Just imagine if I got to the end of that, pulled the plunger out and spilt all my oil all over the floor. I'm not even pushing particularly hard because I know it makes very little difference. I might have to rethink my tactic when it comes to the gearbox. Nah, that ain't never the full amount out of the bottle. Right, according to that, if I've had everything out of that bottle, which I haven't, but I've got a plan, because I've had enough of this already. So, what I should see now, I'm going to position that in there. I'm hoping that this is now enough. Effectively, I've had 3 of these syringes, and 3 of these is 1.5 litres. Now, I believe you are supposed to allow it to stop dripping, but in that last lot of oil, I noticed that there was bubbles in it, and the bubbles don't float out the quickest and easiest. So I'm going to assume that the nice steady trickle is because it's full, and hopefully right, that should be a diff serviced. Right, in the last couple of minutes, what you have seen me do is replace the oil filter, which it leaked quite a bit down the front, and all I really did was stuff the towel down there to catch it. Not really sure how you get the oil out of that, to be honest. So I'm just going to assume that what I did was the right thing, which was stuff the towel down there and take it out. The oil filter doesn't look, it looks used, doesn't look too bad. Put the new one in, torqued it to 25. I've taken the intake off because obviously I need to get to this side and I need to get to the spark plugs. So I think what I'm actually going to do, now I'm at this point, before I get too excited and carried away, I'm actually going to lower the car down because I'm 5'10" and I can't reach. This can stay on. Yeah, that can stay on, but I need to be able to reach.
cylinder number 4 and 8, I think all of this has got to come off. So I've already had this off because I needed to make sure that I got the right spark plug socket. So I unbolted this, took these off, put my thumb over that hole, lifted it up and just pried it out the way whilst I took coil pack number 1 out, just to make sure my spark plug spanner fit. And I dropped it back in there just to make sure I didn't lose it or mix it up with my broken one that I took off cylinder 7 in the last video. Right, let's time lapse this. This is the AUC sensor, and this is actually in fault on mine. So there's 2 things that are going to be happening. Either my pollen filters or cabin filters are far too dirty, or this sensor's actually knackered. Now, when I did a quick Google, they're about 30 quid, so I might just buy another one. I mean, it's probably a good idea for me to drain all the coolant out of it, to be honest.
This feels like the sketchiest place ever.
I'm going to put a bucket under there. Do I need to go under the car for anything now? No, I don't think I do. What I'm actually doing is I'm taking the lower down rad pipe off and hoping that most of the coolant will come out. I'm going to have another look underneath first though. There may be a point where I could actually drain it. I might have to jack it back up and drain it from this little cap at the bottom here. Yep. Oh, I've disconnected the pipes and everything. Full. That was the correct decision to make. I don't know whether I've used the correct technique because there was some funny crunches and cracking, but the coolant is currently draining out of it and it doesn't look miscoloured, so that's pretty good. That there goes into the brake servo, and that worries me a little bit, but it's very flexy and that's got some movement in it, so I could just move that out of the way as long as I connect it back up at the end, because I still need to get to, I mean, what's that? I mean, that's going to be fun. I don't know how well you can see that, but there's a spark plug that's down there. I'm going to get that out.
Next time.
Let's just split the head off there.